Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. I'm sorry I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. I was camping and then I had some family issues in the UK, and so I haven't actually been doing much crafting. But I'm back and I'm ready to craft today. So what I've started to do is to use this new little sweet that's called Whale Done, and I have just fallen in love with it. What I especially like is the paper. It's really easy to fussy cut little pieces out of it, just like the little whales and the turtles. There are pieces that you don't even need to design anything because it's already designed for you. And this piece would be really good for 3x3 cards because when you break it down, you've got a little scene on each 3x3 piece. So it really is a pretty paper. And if you don't want the scene, there's always a pattern on the back as well. So I have enjoyed just making a few cards. I've only made 3 for my online class so far, but I'm really enjoying playing with it. What I did find was because I was cutting little pieces of paper out, I'm ending up with lots of scraps. And so rather than just have a box and put a ton of little scraps in, I decided to make a starburst card. Now usually when you make a starburst or a sunburst, I think some people call them, when you make one of those cards, you have sort of strips like this that you attach together on the front to make a pattern. And it's popular to have them going this way. But occasionally, I don't have many of the long enough strips, or I don't have enough strips to do them on a landscape way. So today I'm doing what I do when I don't have many strips already cut, and I'm doing it in a portrait size. So let's show you how we start to make it. It really is easy, and you don't need much paper at all to make it with. So what I'm starting with is a little piece of Whisper White card. And if you hop on over to my blog, you'll be able to see all the measurements there. But this is not quite a square, but this is the little piece that will make this part of the card. And what I always need to do is to make a line down the middle so that I know my little scraps are sitting straight. And I always used to get my ruler out and draw a line with a pencil, but I found that it works just as well. I don't know if you can see that. I just put it in my trimmer and I did it with a score blade on it. So it just makes a score line all the way down. And then you need some scraps of paper, and you need them to be 1.5 by 4, and you just cut them on the diagonal. So let's get that ready. Okay. So you just put corner to corner on the track on your trimmer, or you can do this by hand if you have a long pair of scissors and a steady hand. And then I just cut, and there will be your 2 little diagonal pieces. And I'll show you on this one as well. So just put corner to corner. I always make it so that my blade starts in the middle, because sometimes I find if you start at the edge, it can sort of push the edge up and you don't get a nice straight cut. So there we are. The only thing you have to watch on if you're doing these is how the pattern runs. Now on this piece with the little seahorses, you'll see that the pattern just goes one way. And when you stick these pieces down, you put them so the points are at the bottom. So if you turn this one round, you'll see that the pattern's upside down. So what I've done is I've cut 2 of those, and I'm going to use the 2 left-hand side pieces where the seahorses are the right way. And then I'm just going to use the back as one of the other patterns. So nothing's wasted. There we go. Now, so we've got our little piece with the pencil mark or the score mark down the centre. And I'm just going to add some glue, and I'm using my new stampin seal. It's a really nice sturdy holder. It's bigger than the last one, and it's a little bit sturdier. The only thing I found is, I mean, it didn't do it this time, but sometimes it will stick. And what you need to do is just move it on the roller just by hand, just to get it to go a little bit further. I think I just haven't got the knack of it yet, and the way we used our other snail ones was you would just go down and do like a little check mark for it to finish, and I think my hand still wants to do that little check mark. Okay, so there we are. That's it. That's enough adhesive on there. You don't need to cover the whole thing. And then you just choose the first one of your pattern pieces. Make sure that the pointed piece is at the bottom, and I'm just going to line it up down that line. It doesn't matter that it overhangs because we're going to cut that off later. Okay, and then I'm just going to choose another piece. I'm going to put that pointed piece right at the bottom, but I'm going to move it up enough so that I know that my card at this top left has got paper on. And on a couple of the pieces, you'll see that the little point doesn't go right at the bottom, but don't worry about that because it's covered over anyway. And then I'm just, whoops, didn't mean to stick that there. Then I'm just going to work my way around. This time I'm going to put it so that that does go to the bottom, and it will just hide that little space that the little seahorses had, the little gap, so it'll just hide that. And then I know that that's the one I'm going to need for the other side because the seahorses are looking the right way. So I'm going to take one of my ones where the seahorses would be upside down. I'm just going to turn it over, and I've got two of them. So I'm just going to turn it over, and this one I'm just going to make it so that I know it covers the whole of the base card underneath, and I'm not worrying that it goes over here at all because that's going to cut off. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the other side, and I'm going to work the pattern the same way. On this one, what I did was my 4 patterns, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But for this one, I'm going to try and do it the other way and see how it looks. And I'm going to put the seahorses here. Oh, I don't think I can do that because otherwise, when I get to the bottom, this won't look right. Okay, I'm not going to do that, so just ignore that. I'm going to do the same pattern. Maybe that's why I've always done it this other way before. Maybe I'd worked that out previously. Okay, so I'm just going to go backwards. So now I need the little weedy one. And I just want to make sure that it's covering up at the top on this one. That's the only one that you have to bother about. It's that second one in from either side. Then I'm going to do my little seahorses. And I want to make sure that there's a seahorse on there so that I can see on there. Okay, and then this little piece. And that's it. And then what you need to do is just get yourself a pair of scissors, or you can put it in the trimmer and do it down the trimmer. But I find it just as easy to get my scissors and go and cut right on the very edge. Go all the way around. Now, none of those pieces are going to be any good to me, so I'm just going to get rid of those straight away. And then here's our little starburst or sunburst piece. And what we're going to need to do with that now is just to put it on a backing sheet. So what I've got for my main card is the Pretty Peacock, and then I've got a layering card of Just Jade. And these are all just cut 1/4 inch smaller all the way around, but they will be on the blog. And then I've got the white piece, and this white piece is the one that our little starburst or sunburst is going to sit on, just like that. And what I also did while I was cutting those is I cut an extra of the Just Jade and the Whisper White because that will go on the inside as well. Right, so let's have this attached. Now you can see on my first one, I put a little bit of Pretty Peacock card at the bottom here. You could put card, or you could just choose to put a little bit of DSP as well. If you wanted that instead of the card, you could do that too. You don't have to have a piece of card there, but I like just having something that matches the rest of the card. So for mine, I want it to match my base card. So I've got that pretty peacock again. And it's cut so that you get just enough of a border all the way around. If you don't feel very comfortable with doing it like this, you can make this little piece a little bit wider, and then you can overlap onto the sunburst piece. I'm actually going to attach this not with my stampin' seal this time, but with the liquid glue, so that if I don't have it quite in the right place, I've got time to wiggle it about. Okay, so I'm just popping that down so that I can see that the border's roughly the same all the way around, but I'm not going to push it down yet. I'm going to put this little piece on as well. And then I can just move them as I need them. There. I think if I'd use the stampin' seal, it makes it a little bit difficult if you're taking it off and putting it back again. It doesn't always stick down as nicely. Now, I'm going to attach that to the Just Jade piece that we have. Just so that it's got that nice even border again. And then I'm going to put that onto the front. Now I'm going to put a little piece of ribbon on mine. If you wanted your ribbon so that it went all the way around and you wanted to tie a bow, put it on either after the white layer or after this layer. Okay. Now I told you that I was going to do the same on the inside, and I have actually already cut that and stuck it. So it's the same Just Jade layer, the same white layer, and instead of a little piece of card, I've used a little piece of the extra DSP. And I'm just going to put that on the inside. And I'll probably use this other little piece of DSP on the envelope, just so that it's all nice and matchy-matchy. There we go. Okay. Now for the decoration, I'm going to use the stamps that came with the whale done, and I'm also going to use some of the DSP. Now, this piece of DSP, and I think there's one other, just let me have a look. This piece, you can cut these out with the matching punch. And I do have the punch, but what I've found is cuts it out perfectly. But on this piece, if you try and match up the punch, unless you cut these out first, can you see how you would cut that other little whale? So just to get more pictures, what I'm doing with this is just fussy cutting it, and it's really quick and easy to fussy cut. All I'm doing is just going round and leaving a tiny little border just like the punch would, and that way I've got all those smaller little whales as well that I can use and stick on. I found it just a little bit fiddly if I have to cut out sort of a strip of the paper and then try and thread it into the punch. I just found this was quicker for me. You might find that you like to do it best on the punch, and that's just fine. Just it was easier for me. Okay. Let's get rid of that one. And then I've chosen one of the sentiments as well. I've chosen this, hoping all your birthday fishes come true. So I've got my pretty peacock ink, and I've already got the sentiments on my block, and just a little piece of scrap Whisper White. That might be a bit dark there. I might have a little bit too much ink on. Oh, no, it came out perfect. I've only just re-inked this pad, so I thought I might have it a little bit too wet, but no. And then I'm going to use my 2-inch circle. And I'm going to cut this out, and I want the writing to be sort of nearer to the bottom. because I'm going to stick my little whale up at the top and I want a little bit of space for him. So if you don't want to use a punch, what you could do is use one of your dies, or even just cut it by hand or on your paper trimmer. I did make another one where I used one of the dies. I think that was from the Tasteful Textures. So just whatever you want. Makes it just simple and easy. Okay, now I'll cut a little bit of the matching ribbon. It's like a little sheer ribbon that comes with it. I don't know if this might be a bit too long. I'm only going to put it on here. It is a little bit too long. I'll trim it in a moment. Now, when I was saying earlier, if you want to put a ribbon on with a bow, why I was saying to do it earlier is because it needs to be under these layers so that you can hold it over and then tie your bow. But because that's not what I'm doing, I just want to have a little, sort of a little piece going like this. Then that's why I'm just putting mine on the top. And I'm just going to pop it on with a glue dot, I think, for now. Because my sentiment is actually going to go over this. Just move that down a bit. And I'm just sort of putting it at the bottom so that it hides where that little join in as well. Get another little glue dot. And I'll just keep that still. And it will attach this top layer as well. You could do this with a little piece of tear and tape too. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. And then for our little sentiment, I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. I'm just going to centre this, but I want it to be nearer to the bottom of the card. So I'm just going to pop it there like that. And this little piece here is probably going to annoy me, so I'm going to put another little glue dot on there. I'm going to fold it over, just because it's sticking up. So I'm going to stick that just under there. There. That's better. It lays flat now. Okay, so now our little whale, I'm going to put just a little bit of Tombow underneath. And I'm going to put a dimensional at the top of him so that he's level with this card, but he's not going to get bent or anything. And I'm just going to make sure that the dimensional goes onto the backing and only the glue is onto this little piece of card. And then in the set as well, there are these really pretty little sequins. And my favourite ones, there are some that look like little shells. Oh, didn't want to open. There we go. Some that look like little pink shells, look. Aren't they? Let's put it on there. Aren't they just so pretty? That's not what we're using today. I'm going to use the sequins today. And I'm actually going to get my pokey tool, excuse me. And then I've got my glue dots. They're not adhesive sequins, these ones. So you do just need either a glue dot or a little bit of Tombow, something like that. And then I'm just going to choose some of them. I'm going to pop the glue dot underneath. And put one over here. And then let's find another one. You can make them all different colours. You could use the rhinestones. Oh, drop that one. You could use your rhinestones. If you want them coloured to be the same colour, like the pretty peacock or something, you could do that with your blend on top of a rhinestone or a pearl. I'm just going to tuck that glue dot under a little bit so that it doesn't stick on the envelope or anything. And then there are different sizes in here as well. Let me try and get a smaller one out for you. So there are different little sizes, but I want to put all three the same size on mine. So I'm just looking for another one the same colour. And there are lots in here. They're really good for shaker cards. I think I might make a shaker card next for my online class. Let's see, where am I going to put this? I don't know where I'm going to put it now. I'm just going to put it down here, actually. So there we go. So there we are. That's my little sunburst card for today. And if you want to go over to my blog, the sizings will all be there, and that just makes it easier than me writing them down, or you have to write them down while I'm saying the sizes. But thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all again really, really soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.